Say something. Like, hi.
Hello. Guess who's back? Back again. And we're fat. Tell your friends.
We're a few beers in.
Yeah.
We're up at the cottage again.
Yeah, because Alan won a raffle to come and stay here.
We've spent the day just knobbing around. We've cooked sausages over a little tabletop top stove.
Stop.
Yes, we've had a few beers. We've just cooked an amazing ex-dairy ribeye steak over oak logs.
That was delicious. Really
With a
delicious.
table with a fire. Ooh, excuse me. Fire in the middle. It's currently freezing.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Blinking cold.
obviously dark, which I apologise for the shocking visuals. We've got a bit of stage lighting up here, and I love it. It's a genius bit of kit.
It's
I'll
a
tell
very
you about
clever
that
little
later.
bit of gadget, isn't it?
But yeah, we've eaten, we've drank, we've relaxed, and we've froze our tits off. But today is not today.
We've just been having a chat and we realised that today, well not today, but this year is 5 years since we had the California.
We've had this California about 4 years and 10.5 months, so it's pretty much bang on 5 years.
It's not.
So if you start calling us out, you can go.
But yeah, we were just thinking about the stuff we've done, and obviously we've been camper vanning for 11 years.
About 10 years, I think it is.
Yeah, well we've been married 10 years this year, and we got the T4 the year before we got married, so 11 years.
Look it up. Up. Get up. Fuck off then.
We got these new chairs from Dunelm, and I don't know if you've ever watched the scene in Friends where Big Monica gets stuck in a beanbag. But that's us trying to get out of these chairs. They're really comfy, but they're quite like deep, aren't they? So
Yeah.
trying to get out of them, you've got a rock.
The proper loungers.
Yeah.
So we've been camper vanning for 10 years. We've had this van for 5 years. So we've just been discussing about what we've done over the last 5 years in this van. We're not going to talk about the T4 because that was amazing.
It was.
But we've had this camper van for 5 years, and would we recommend getting one? A camper van in general? Absolutely, we
Yeah.
would. We've been on so many journeys and destinations that you wouldn't be able to replicate
No, I
if you
mean,
didn't have a camper van.
before the camper van we had big tents, mountain tents, every type of tent you could possibly think of. Nothing compares. This van, even compared to the T4, it's just ease of use, isn't it? The T4, we didn't have a pop top roof, did we? We didn't have a attached shelter. So I mean, now when the pop top's down on this van, I don't know how we ever survived in the T4 because I just feel constantly like I'm whacking my head. Yeah, the ease of use is just fantastic. It still looks new, I think.
Still drives new.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit dirty and there's a few scratches, but besides that, it still looks modern, doesn't it? It doesn't look it hasn't aged.
Yeah, so I suppose the first question could be, why did we buy this van? And it was an evolution. Camper van was an evolution from tent camping for us. This van was an evolution from the T4 for us. Our T4, we went to Europe for 2 weeks for our honeymoon,
Yeah.
which is 10 years this year. In fact, we've been camper vanning for more than 10 years then.
I just said that and you just ignored everything I said. I said, we've been married 10 years this year and we've had the van we've had the T4 a year before, so it's 11 years.
Probably more.
No, I think we got the van about a year before.
Anyway, we're waffling. The van gives us ultimate freedom. It takes you where you want, when you want, for however long you want. It's phenomenal. Anyone who watches this who has a camper van will know exactly what I'm talking about.
I mean, the reason we got this van was that we were at Carfest and we sat there in our T4 watching someone in California, and everything they did just looked dead easy, and they had so much space, especially with the shelter out, the roof up, the chairs coming out the boot, the table coming out the sliding door. It was just like, wow.
It's a great van we're not going to talk about the California specifically. We're going to talk about why we bought a camper van / this camper van. And all weather camping was a key point for us, because we slept in tents in some horrendous storms. We had to go home one year, New Year, when we were in a tent in the Lake District, because the storm was that bad. It was flattening tents.
We didn't even pack the tent away. We literally just grabbed it, screwed it in a ball and threw it in the boot of the car and went home, because it was that bad, wasn't it?
But it's a perfect base for hiking as well. If you want to go and hike up a mountain, for instance, and do a full day, doesn't matter whether it's Scotland, Wales, England, whatever, you could sleep in the tent near the base of the mountain, whether it's on a campsite or a wild camp, if you like. And you're there first thing in the morning. And we've done that so many times over the years, haven't we, where we've just thought we want to go and do that particular Wainwright, sleep near it or at the bottom of it, and you're there ready for it in the morning. So what do we love about our van? For me, it's the small form factor. We've talked so many times about getting a bigger van, but the benefits of having a smaller camper van, granted there's negatives and positives to everything, but having a smaller camper van just makes life so much easier. Sometimes you get into little things like Tesco car park or whatever. You're in when we went to Ullapool years ago, we just were able to park in Tesco really easy. But it's not just Tesco, it's mountain passes, it's just little remote campsites. We've been to a few campsites. Remember that one in North Wales, South Snowdonia, and it said anything over a 5 metre camper van, you're not allowed to park in this spot.
Was that the one in the woods, in the forest?
Yes, yeah. It has everything you need, apart from a toilet, obviously, and potentially a shower. But who showers when they're on holiday?
Exactly.
But we've got 2 beds, we've got a hob, we've got a fridge, we've got storage in the cupboards, swiveling seats, 2 bench seats. We've got everything we need. We've got blinds, we've got a diesel heater, you name it, we've got what we need.
My favourite bit about the van is the bed in the pop top. I just like sleep, to be honest, but in the morning, Alan getting up, making me a cup of tea and bringing it up to the pop top for me, and I can just stay there. And because obviously it's like tent fabric, you can listen to the world going by, you can listen to the birds and everything, and it's just really relaxing. I really, really like it.
I'm not sure if you've noticed, but Sarah likes a cup of tea.
Always happy when I've got a cup of tea, my love. I do.
I love a cup of coffee, but Sarah obsesses over tea.
I like tea more than beer.
So
that's it.
Before or after a hike, we can make a cup of tea. If we take the dog for a walk for the day somewhere in the forest, for instance, we can have a cup of tea. If we just got to a campsite and it's a big deal after the drive, setting up and all that stuff, have a cup of tea. It's got 2 hobs in there, so as long as you've got water in the integral tank and milk in the fridge,
you can have a cup of tea, and tea bags in the teapot.
And have a cup of tea. On the flip side of that, you've got the fridge, which keeps your milk cold.
And your beer.
Also keeps your beer cold. And sometimes, there's been a number of times where we've frozen things in our fridge because we turned it up too much.
Milk.
Ham and milk, yeah. But the beer is... God, it's so cold out here right now. The beer, when you put it against the back wall of the fridge, the beer is absolute. You can't hold the bottle, it's that bloody cold. But then on the flip side of that, we've got the diesel heater in the winter. So we've slept in some real cold conditions, haven't we, for 3, 4, 5 nights easy.
A week? 7 nights?
We often go away for a week over Christmas, don't we? Christmas, New Year, and that fire's lovely. And we quite often use the diesel heater most nights, and it's an absolute godsend.
I mean, one of my favourite memories from this van was before we were doing YouTube, and we went to Scotland for a week in February 2020, wasn't it? And it was absolutely bouncing down on the way there.
No, it wasn't 2020, that's lockdown.
It was just before it was just before
lockdown.
Yeah,
it was the month before lockdown.
So, yeah, it was bouncing down on the way there. We just went and parked in a car park, didn't we, for the night in the Cairngorms. Woke up in the morning thinking we were just going to wake up to like slop and just bog. And it was a winter wonderland. It was absolutely stunning. And the whole week we were in Scotland was just snow, wasn't it? We went from the Cairngorms to Glencoe,
Yeah.
and stopped off at places in between, and it's one of my favourite weeks ever in the van because I love snow.
But this van is fuel efficient as well, and I'm sure most transporters are pretty similar. We can quite often get on average 40 miles to the gallon, so motorway journeys easy 40 miles to the gallon.
I love that it gives you the opportunity to be either as active as you want to be or as lazy as you want to be. So you can pull up, as Alan said, at the bottom of a mountain, go walking, go for a trek, do whatever, explore a town or a city. But at the same time, you could just pull up at a campsite, have a fire, have beers and sleep.
Yeah.
And talking about cities, it obviously gave us the opportunity, didn't it, to drive to Paris.
Yes, that's my next thing. Our favourite experiences in this van. So this van has genuinely given us a hell of a lot of just perfect memories. Number one is honeymoon, which obviously was in the old van, but our honeymoon was the first time we ever drove around Europe. It's the first time we ever visited the Alps. That just gave us a real hunger for the Alps, didn't it?
Yeah, I just didn't realise how easy it was, because obviously I've been away on planes to different places, but it was the first time we'd used the Eurotunnel and drove around Europe, and it was just, everything was just dead easy, wasn't it?
Roads around Europe are just sublime. You know, further Alps trips, things like Switzerland and Chamonix and, you know, South Germany and Bavarian Alps, it's never ending. The amount of experiences we've had up there are just outstanding.
Well, as well in the October of 2020, when little bits of the world started opening again in the pandemic, we got over to Europe for 2 weeks in this, which I think it'd have been more difficult to fly and things like that, whereas we obviously were self-contained in the van and had an amazing 2 weeks, didn't we?
Yeah.
That was again prior to YouTube. I think we went Reims, didn't we?
No, that was when we started YouTube. September, October 2020, yeah.
So it must have been 2019 when we went to Reims.
One of the most memorable experiences we've ever had, especially me being a petrol head, was 2019. Before we went on YouTube, we were heading towards Switzerland, and we decided between Calais and Switzerland we chose a rough halfway point, and Reims was there, or Rem as it's called. I don't know how you say it, but there's an old racetrack there from the 1960s. It's an old Formula 1 racetrack. It's now a public highway, but the stands are still there, and there's a bunch of people who fix it, you know, maintain it for free, sort of thing. And we just thought we'll call up there, we'll get a photograph taken of the van. When we got there was a load of old cars and loads of people offloading cars off the wagons and stuff. It quickly turned out that they were remaking an old movie with proper camera rigs on the back of modern cars, and these 1960 Ferrari 156 shark noses they were like 1 litre V8.
Was it a Lotus as well?
There was a Lotus there as well, yeah, but the Ferraris were far better. The 1 litre V8 with a straight through exhaust, so the sound was absolutely outstanding. I can't remember the guy's name right now, but it was his son who was driving the car. I'll put it on screen if I can remember. I still to this day I can't remember. I can't believe it happened. It's just, obviously it's very glamorous, the Alps and Reims and Scotland and all that stuff, but then social camps where you sit around a fire and just chat shit to strangers after drinking too much beer and stuff like that. This is one of the key points of having a camper van for me, as to when it comes into its own. You can rock up to any campsite in any old van, you can go in a builder's van or whatever. Popular events when hotel prices increase,
like the Champions League final.
Like the Champions League final in Paris.
Yeah.
So when Liverpool's Champions League final was announced that it was in Paris, oh god, the wind's picked up and it's blowing all the crap. You alright, mate? We decided Paris is driving distance. we booked a couple of days off work and went and spent 4 nights, was it, in France. So we went down to Dieppe because we fancied a night by the coast.
And then there was all these funny cars there, weren't there?
Yeah, they were Renault Alpines. But then we went into Paris for a couple of nights and did Champions League final. Well, we didn't get into the ground. And it turns out it was quite lucky we didn't, because it wasn't a very good experience. But we were in the fan park. And that was one of the fucking best days out ever, wasn't it? The atmosphere was absolutely outstanding.
But then it let us go to Balmoral as well, and to the Braemar games.
Yes.
Again, we just slept in a car park in Braemar. Went and did the games the next day, which was fantastic, and I got to see Prince Charles before he was King Charles.
The Highland Games was just, you've got to go. If it doesn't sound like your bag, I guarantee you'd still enjoy it. It's such a great experience.
It was so good.
Being able to sleep less than 3-minute walk from the ground for free for 2 nights, it was just immense.
Yeah.
Going on from that, another experience which we would have had to pay a lot of money for, because Braemar, the hotels book up really early and they're really expensive.
So do the campsites, to be honest.
Oktoberfest.
Oh my god, yes.
In Munich. The hotels were really expensive. We found a makeshift pop-up campsite for the festival. And granted, it wasn't the most luxurious campsite in the world, but that gave us one of our best experiences of our life, didn't it?
That was just like a dream. It was weird. It was so good, though.
But then there's other things, like you don't have to plan everything. So when you go on a trip, doesn't matter whether it's UK or Europe, you always have to have an itinerary. You plan in advance, you travel and you locate your accommodation and food and all that stuff. In a van you don't. So we did the Lakes 100 over a week. We had no idea how long it was going to take, but it took as long as we wanted it to. Yeah. Some days we just didn't fancy getting up. We didn't get out of bed till 10 o'clock. We went on the road till 11:30. But then we drove until dark. And then we didn't know where we were going to stay that night. So if you had to book hotels in advance, you had to be a certain location by that night, because that's where your hotel was. Where we'd get to a point where we'd be like, we've travelled like 5 miles today, we haven't made any progress, we don't care, we'll sleep here tonight.
Yeah, so it gives you that flexibility, doesn't it? And that choice, I want to stay in a bit longer. Oh well, we can, because we've got the van. But the same when we've been to Europe or anywhere really. We can be planning to go to Scotland up until the day before the trip starts, and if the weather's rubbish in Scotland, we just go somewhere else. The same when we've been over in Europe. We've been like, right, the weather's turning really bad here, and we've just looked at the forecast for other areas. I thought, right, it's going to be nice there, let's drive there. We've not had a set plan, have we? It's literally, we'll let weather and what we want to do dictate where we go, and that's really, really good.
But then there's pub stops as well. Going away from popular events and exclusive events and all that stuff, you can go and sleep in a pub car park. Yeah. Get trolleyed in the pub and then sleep in their car park for free.
And then like for your 40th birthday, my 40th birthday, when you decide that Disneyland Paris hasn't got everything open, you can take your husband to the Nürburgring instead and give him a treat for my 40th birthday.
Yeah, because we've done a number of, everyone calls them wild camps, but then some people on YouTube get a bit aggy saying, it's not wild, you're not in a tent. We've done all that tent summit camping as well, so but it's just dead easy to say a wild camp. So let's, for this video sake, let's call it a wild camp. So wild camps, you know, essentially are just pulling up somewhere, sleeping for the night if you like. Nürburgring was one of the best for me because we slept right next to the main arena, and then around the corner was the track. You sleep next to the track as well, but there was a bit of aggro at the time as well, right next to the Nürburgring track. Spent half the day just watching cars ragging past, and it was such. We were on YouTube Corner, and it's called.
He was really, really tempted to take the van round, but apparently it's dodgy on the insurance. So
yeah, we've done lots of other wild camps. Lake District, we've quite a few times, even way before YouTube, a few times, haven't we? slept on that mountain pass in Langdale, and the view from there is just outrageous. And you've got so many fells to walk from your van as well. It's just gorgeous. And then the silence at night is literally deafening. Then we've done a few in Scotland as well, haven't we? We've done, you know, at the base of Buccleuch Moor and stuff like that. And we've the one near Loch Mick in the Cairngorms. Remember that one? My
favourite one is the one before YouTube in the snow. And I don't know what it's called, where we were in the forest. Where we drove further down and there was a man in the camper van and he was stuck.
Oh, Glen Affric.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah, Glen Affric.
That was amazing. We had this car park to ourselves because no one was coming down the road because the snow was that bad. It had a compost toilet, didn't it?
Yeah.
And the walks, you could walk up through the forest up to like a viewpoint, and obviously with the snow and everything, it was just amazing, wasn't it? And
then another one very different to all that. Remember Neuschwanstein Castle in Germany? We seen the castle. We had no idea where we were going to stay. We drove all the way to Germany. We seen the castle in the distance and thought, right, we need somewhere to stay. Just found this little car park, slept there the night, went up to the castle in the morning, and then buggered off over to the Dolomites. It was just, it's just that flexibility and freedom. It's just unbeatable.
And obviously the Dolomites. We went the Dolomites the first time on our honeymoon in the T4, yeah. And then we've been back twice.
Yeah.
We've wild camped and stayed at campsites, and it's just
that location in the Dolomites where you wild camp. It's a dedicated motorhome car park, and what's the Theo and B called?
Can't remember.
You know what I mean? Quite big YouTubers. They've been around for a while. Way before we even thought about doing any YouTubes, we used to watch them, and they stayed at this place in a T4. We stayed there on our honeymoon. And then stayed there again in California a couple of years ago when we did our 3-week trip, and it was outstanding. But then festivals in a camper van, the vibe is just mega.
Yeah.
You meet so many other pissheads who you just get along with, and it doesn't matter who you are, what walk of life you're from, how much money you earn. You're all just the same.
Yeah.
You're there for the same reason.
We've done any of those besides Carfest?
Can't remember, but I'm just going to put another log on this fire because it's starting to die down.
Okay.
So we decided to switch the camera off last night because we felt like it was just a bit of a drunken ramble. So we had a nice early night. We got up this morning, bit of rain, but right now there's no wind and there's no rain, so we're happy. I'll talk to you about a light that we were using last night, stage lighting, and I've got a new light. There's a bit of a theme going on in our house. The guy from the Black Country, you've got me onto the Olight torches, but this one is a bit special. It's a tripod or a torch, and it does loads of different things. I'll only touch on this briefly because that's not why we're doing a video, but when I like something, I like it. It's from Flextail. Flextail do the little mini pumps. I use one in the Bothy video to pump up my mattress. So you can have it as a big torch, so that the light comes out of that section at the front there. Or you can just push that, and it's a tripod. And when it's a tripod, there's little magnets in the feet here. I had it attached to the bonnet last night, shining onto us and the fire pit. It was mega. The good thing about it as well is it extends. On their website there's a guy who has it in his backpack like that, and then it just it's like 360-degree illumination around him when he's walking through the forest or something like that. The end of this just completely rotates, so obviously it's dark on that side and then you've got light on that side, so you can have it shining. You can twist it, shine in any direction you like. It's honestly, it's a proper bit of kit. I had to put a coat on because it's Baltic.
Yeah, it's a tad cold. We were waffling a bit last night, so we thought we'd carry on today.
Briefly, we ain't got much more to say.
No, we haven't. So I think we rambled on last night about why we love it, where we've been in it, etc, etc. Another good thing is for day trips and taking the dog out. It's perfect. I mean, I think it was in lockdown actually. We went to the beach, didn't we? And got fish and chips.
Yes.
And we sat and ate them in the van by the beach, which was nice. So
Yeah,
just
so
like
when you
little
get
things like that.
even little things like getting fish and chips.
And I like my fish and chips, if you hadn't noticed.
When you're outside eating fish and chips and you're getting dived by seagulls or the weather turns bad, just get in the van. I've used this for work in the past. So I had my car in for a service or an MOT or something like that, and I used the van, and it was doing, well, I don't know whether you know, I've got a pretty thirsty car, and this does better miles per gallon. It was quieter, it was comfier, and I went up to York and back in it to go to a couple of meetings, and it was just mega.
And obviously with us moving house as well, it's always coming handy for tip runs and stuff like that as well.
Yes.
So because it's a camper van, you can fill it with crap and take it to the tip, can't you? Because it's not classed as a commercial vehicle. So that's always a bonus as well. Especially when Alan gets 50,000 gadgets delivered to the house and you've got 50,000 boxes and crap to go to the tip.
So like with everything else as well, there are downsides. Not having a camper van in general, but having a camper van of this size, in bad weather, you are extremely well protected, especially with this one. This one's got double glazed windows at the back. But space is, especially like, there's only two of us and a fairly small to medium sized dog, and he's just peed on the logs that I'm just about to chop up. Thanks, mate. But in bad weather, getting away from the bad weather and doing stuff at the same time, like making a brew or whatever, it can be a right chore. I think if we'd have actually gone for what we wanted, like a medium wheelbase sprinter van, it would have been really, really easy.
For me as well, not having a toilet can be a bit of a nightmare because I don't like going outside for a pee in the night. So we have got a pee bottle, but even that can be a disaster, as I've peed out of the pee bottle. Don't put that in.
Lack of proper fixed bed is a big thing for us. Having a Swiss Army knife of a van is amazing because it does pretty much everything, but having a fixed bed to come back to would be the biggest change for us, apart from a toilet. Now, we've always had our own vehicles, we've always had our own car each, as well as the camper van, and that is something you'd have to consider. Can you afford to keep another vehicle on the road? Because I pay 2 insurances, one for my car, one for this car, but then we pay 2 MOTs, 2 services, 2 sets of tyres. I think recently I spent 850 quid on tyres for my car, and this had a full set of tyres about 2 months beforehand, which was about 650 quid, I think it was. It's not just fuel in 2 cars, it's everything for 2 cars. For us, it's worth it. It's definitely something you need to consider as, are you going to use it enough, and are you going to want it enough to spend all that extra money? And obviously the van, these vans aren't cheap. Doesn't matter whether it's a California or a Transporter or a Transit, it doesn't matter. They command such a premium. You just have to make sure you make your own mind up whether it's worth it or not.
It's definitely been worth it for us.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, wouldn't change it.
This is our annual holidays as well. We haven't been overseas since we got Jack in this, and we're hoping that this 2025 is the year that we do that.
Yeah.
I think overall, if you feel you would use one of these at least once a month, it's 100% worth it. Let us know what you think about your van, or if you're watching this and you haven't got a van, is anything that we've said stuck out and made you think to yourself, I won't bother getting a van then?
And as well, any of the things that we've said are a bit of a con. What do you do? Is there anything that you do that would help us with that? Because toilet, fixed bed, especially, I don't know what we could do really besides buying a bigger van.
See you later.
Ta-ra! Say bye, Jack. Sit. 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 Don't sit then. Okay.